everyone, it's Catherine. Today I'm here to talk about what I read in November. So in the months of September, October, and November, I do a really deep 90-day read through of the Bible. And so in November, I didn't get much read because the parts of the Bible that I was reading, I was just really immersed in and kind of went more than just reading. And the major prophets just really popped for me in this read. And so, yeah, I got really into Jeremiah and probably spent more than I should there. And same with, of course, Isaiah and Ezekiel and Daniel, like those were all just so good this read. And so I didn't get much read outside of that. And so like here in December, it's been really strange these first few days because I'm used to spending in those particular months, almost an hour and a half a day, whereas now my reads are smaller of the Bible, my devotion time. And so I'm like, well, now I got all this time. So who knows what will happen in December, but of course that is the holiday month. And so anyways, enough of that. The first book that I want to talk about is the book I read for my Biblical Studies Challenge, which was church history, one of my favorite subjects. And so this was a newer release this year, and it's called A History of Christianity in America by Mark Granquist. And I really liked this book, and I spent a great deal of time on it. Because it is, it's not like a textbook, but it kind of feels like it felt to me as I was reading a textbook, because this goes way, 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 way back. Way back before the Pilgrims and, all of that. And so a lot of it, I don't even think we talked about in school, and of course nothing to do with church, in public school, but any of just the history it talked about, I was like, I don't remember us talking about that, or I don't remember talking about that. And yes, that was 35 years ago, but, I don't know. It was just I don't remember a whole lot of it, even talking about it. And so it was all kind of wow, oh, wow. So this thing is highlighted up. Okay. And there was so much. It was so good. My only complaint was that I felt like there were a lot of parts where we could have used a table, when he was talking about the numbers in 1950 were different than the numbers in 1980 of this particular denomination. It'd be nice to have a table, in my opinion. But anyways, it was, I'm just a lay person and I found it very interesting. And I really, really enjoyed this. And now at the end of it, I felt sad. Whereas I thought I would feel kind of hopeful, I felt sad. But in the epilogue, he talks about, there are going to be different, I got eyelash in my eye. There are going to be different types of reactions, of group reactions to this. And so that kind of tells you what group of the ones that I would fall into. The fact that I felt kind of sad at the end. And just going through, I felt remorse. I felt more sad through this book than the other church history books I've ever read. And so this would be my favorite book that concentrated on America church history that I've read. But it's not my favorite world history of Christianity, because that one that I had more tables and pictures and graphs, and I kind of like all that. But this was a 4.5 stars for me. And if this is anything you're interested in, I would have this on your shelf, because of course it can't go into detail on every little thing, but it talks about so much. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend it. So the next book that I read was The Lady in the Attic, and I'm going to have to put a picture up here because I gave the book back to my mom-in-law. So this is the first book in a series called Annie's Attic, and it's from some like quilting company called Annie's or something. And so like all of the books have something to do with crafting. So this one was needlework. Now I know nothing about needlework. I have tried to knit once, fail. I've tried to crochet once, fail. Maybe I need to try embroidery or something. I don't know. It's like my brain and my hands, they weren't connecting. I don't know. Maybe it was too soon after my head injury or something. So it's called Lady in the Attic, and it's by Tara Randell. And I gave this book 3 stars. I thought it was really good. I didn't, like I said, I know nothing about needlework, and you didn't really have to know anything about that to follow the story. Now, it was a very big part of the story, but you didn't have to really know anything about how to do it or whatever. But what I enjoyed was the little family mystery, okay? Because she inherits this house in Maine. And so she goes there and she's going to try to like tidy it up and deal with her grandma's stuff and everything. And up in the attic is a embroidered picture. And so this grandma's kind of known for her landscape embroidery, or not needlework. Is it embroidery? Anyways, so she's kind of known for that. And so it's this woman, like you see the back of the woman, and she's kind of looking out over all these different scenes. Okay. And so she's like, well, who is this woman? What are all these scenes? Like, why is this up here in the attic that's not like my grandma? So now she's on a mission, right? So her and the local needlework crafting club at the quilt shop get into the mystery, and they start trying to figure out where they find all the different locations, and then they eventually find who was the woman. Now, I had who was the woman kind of like picked out at the beginning. That was obvious to me, but the places were not obvious. And so that was kind of interesting. You know, I don't know a thing about Maine. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I liked following the mystery of the needlework masterpiece. And so, yeah. Everything was resolved at the end. And so, yeah, I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. The next book and the last book I read this month was An Old-Fashioned Thanksgiving by Louisa May Alcott. And since I read Little Women, I thought, okay, I need to read this one, you know. So it was very cute. Overall, I gave it 3.5 stars. So it's this family of kids, the Bassett family, and they are struggling, you know, as a family. This time there was a lot going on, and so they didn't think they were going to have Christmas, but they all kind of worked together, and they had to do it on their own because the mother had to go. I can't remember what she was leaving for now, but all the kids had to put on the Thanksgiving. And so there was a lot of mishaps and hilarity ensued. And so, yeah, it was cute. And I gave it 3.5 stars because it was just comfy and classic, and I liked it. So that's what I read in November. And so I'm getting already started on my December reads. And yeah. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing good. I am. I've already started reading with my husband our Advent daily readings, and it's about Narnia. And I'm so excited. This has been kind of a Narnia year for me. So I'm enjoying going back to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and thinking about, like, last night was The Lamp Post, and today is Tumnus. And anyways, I love the holidays. Okay, well, I'll let you go now. Talk to you next time.